Oh, good morning. Great to be back in Jacksonville here at Jacksonville International Airport. I have Larry Keefe is with me, who's our public safety czar, works in the governor's office. We have the mayor of Jacksonville, Lenny Curry's here, the CEO of the Jax Aviation Authority, Mark Van Lowe. We have Congressman John Rutherford, Sheriff Mike Williams, Lieutenant Chimp Mons, the Director of Public Safety and Security for the airport. Then we have Senators Bean and Bradley, and we have Representatives Byrd and Yarborough. So I want to thank them for being here and thank them for supporting a lot of the efforts that we've had over the last few years. We were really happy to be able to put out a very strong budget yesterday, and I know when they get back into Tallahassee in January, they'll be working on doing a lot of the same stuff. But it is important to point out that we have a budget recommendation at like $99.7 billion. That's, by the way, less than half of what our closest state in population, New York, has, which is 3 million people fewer than us, and their budget's over twice the size. Yeah, we have better infrastructure, higher performing education system, and better quality of life, and with the lowest tax burden in the country per capita. But we have over $15 billion in reserves. And those are historic levels for the state of Florida. And if you look, when we do these budget recommendations, I got to take whatever revenue has come in up to this point, but then from December until the end of June, just for this fiscal year, for example, I'm relying on estimates of revenue. But if you look, we're above estimate month after month after month. And so if we're even on the low end of what we've been seeing in terms of additional revenue coming in December through the end of June, that's another probably $300 million a month over the estimates. So you could end up having another $2 billion. We could end up with $17 billion in reserves by the time the next fiscal year kicks off. And so all that's being said is, we're doing historic things in terms of what we're doing for public safety, what we're doing for our environmental resources, what we're doing for education and boosting teacher pay and all that. And that's all very, very important. But we're also doing that with keeping us strong and actually increasing our ability to handle things that happen in the future. And so we're proud to do that, and we look forward to working with the legislature on advancing a lot of these really important priorities for Florida. One of the priorities that we've been working on for many months now, and we'll continue to work with the legislature when they get back, is dealing with the fallout from the reckless border policies of the Biden administration. And about 5 months ago, I was asked by the governor of Texas to send some support because of what was happening at the southern border. You're having 200,000 people illegally enter every month. I mean, that's a medium-sized American city every month coming in illegally. And so we sent folks in state law enforcement, and they were there for a number of probably about 6 weeks, 8 weeks total. And they saw these people just pouring in. Many of them said that their ultimate destination was the state of Florida, so it obviously was affecting us, we could tell right off the bat. But what would happen was they would interdict someone coming illegally, turn them over to the feds, and then the feds would just put them on an airplane somewhere, put them on a bus, and then they would end up basically being ferreted around to different communities throughout the country. And we saw that tragically what happened with they're bringing in these flights into Jacksonville in the wee hours of the morning, no advance notice to the state. We don't know, they don't tell us anything. And you had somebody posing as a minor who's actually about 24 years old and ended up committing a murder. And again, if the border had been secured and if the policies weren't so reckless, that would not have happened. And we see this time and time again. And we also understand what's happening in terms of who this is benefiting. The cartels are just eating our lunch with what's going on with these border policies. I mean, they've never had it so good. You got drugs pouring across, you've got human trafficking coming, and there's obviously some of the people come in will also commit additional crimes, but just with that, the sheer number of people is a huge burden on communities when you talk about healthcare, schools, all this other stuff. So we filed suit against the Biden administration several months ago about challenging the catch and release policies. That case is still pending in the Northern District of Florida in the Pensacola division, but I will tell you, already we've seen movement. They filed a motion to dismiss our case, But in the motion, they say they have actually changed their policy. What they had been doing when our guys were down there, they'd give them what's called a notice to report. And basically, it's like the honor system. Hey, you're here, you're going to have a hearing. Call this number and schedule your hearing, on your honor. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine if that's how we did law enforcement here in Florida? Someone robs a bank and they just get a notice, hey, just call the prosecutor and schedule your trial whenever it makes sense for you. It's an honor system. That doesn't work. So they've acknowledged that they have replaced the notice to appear, or the notice to report, which is with what's called the notice to appear, which is important because if you don't show up when you have a notice to appear, then immediately you can be sent back without any additional process. And I don't think that would have happened if it wasn't for our efforts on really pushing the envelope on this and fighting back. So we'll see what's going to happen. There's a lot of other things in that case, and they've been able to do some stuff, but at a minimum, that's an important victory. But we realize we've got to do more. And so we're going to be proposing a series of legislative reforms that will help strengthen Florida's hand in fighting back against the Biden border crisis and what we've seen happening for almost the last year in terms of what's happening to our country.